180 junior parliamentarians of the 22nd session of the Children's Parliament have raised concerns for the protection of children against violence, obligatory birth registration, and more. House Speaker Kavayege Jibril chaired the session. Thousands of Catholic Christians from within and out of Mbamayo converge at the esplanade of the Our Lady of Rosary Cathedral in Mbamayo to celebrate 60 years of the diocese. The head of state was represented by Minister Director of the Civil Cabinet Samuel Vondo Ayolo. Plus, tough road for sports as Cotton Sport of Garwa traveled to Algeria in a desperate attempt to beat GS Kabylie. At least 2-0 to advance to the final of the CAF Confederations Cup. I am Benin Bumagana. This is the 7:30 News.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
Thousands of Catholic Christians converged on the esplanade of the Our Lady of Rosary Cathedral in Mbamayo today in celebration of the 60th anniversary of the Diocese of Mbamayo. The celebration was marked by a Pontifical High Mass celebrated by the Bishop of the Diocese, His Lordship Joseph Marin Diokala, and the ordination of some deacons and priests in the presence of the representative of the President of the Republic, the Minister, Director of the Civil Cabinet Samuel Mvondo Ayolo. Unity Palace correspondent Amin Keng Edward was in Mbamayo and now reports.
60 years of existence is worth celebrating with ecstasy, and the Christians celebrated in the presence of an august guest, the representative of the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, dispatched to Mbamayo for the ceremony. Samuel Vondo Ayolo, Minister Director of the Civil Cabinet at the Presidency of the Republic, was received at the entrance of the town of Mbamayo and at the premises of Our Lady of Rosary Cathedral by the Governor of the Central Region, Nasiri Paul Biya, and was immediately introduced to the ecclesiastical mission of the diocese by His Lordship Joseph Marindi Okala, Bishop of the Diocese of Mbamayo, before the start of the Pontifical High Mass, attended by a college of priests, Christians of the diocese, and some members of government, animated by a myriad of choral groups. The chief celebrant began by expressing thanks and gratitude to the President of the Republic for honoring the invitation through his representative. In songs of joy and prayers, the Christian gave praises to God for his countless blessings expressed in the growth of the diocese since its creation some 60 years ago.
When we observe from what we come from, it is a very wonderful work for His Excellency Paul Etowa, the Archbishop of this town. It is a very, very wonderful work.
In a letter from the Vatican on the occasion, Pope Francis encouraged the Christians to be authentic disciples of Christ and peace crusaders in pilgrimage. Another high point of the celebration was the ordination of 3 deacons and 4 priests during the Pontifical High Mass, and to them the bishop dedicated special prayers for God to grant them the wisdom to serve in the Lord's vineyard within the dictates of the Holy Spirit and in communion with church officials. At the close of the heavily attended celebration, the organizers handed to the minister a beautiful painting of the historic Our Lady of Rosary Cathedral in Mbamayo as a symbolic gift to the President of the Republic in appreciation of his constant support to the church, followed by a family photograph to crown the celebrations full of pomp and fanfare.
Since the creation of the Diocese of Mbalmayo by Pope John the 23rd on the 24th of June 1961, the diocese has hosted 3 bishops, the third being the current Bishop Joseph Marin Diokalia. The diocese today covers 2 divisions, the Nyong and So and the Mfumo division, with 96 parishes. Constantine Baum revisits the history of the diocese.
It is difficult to mention Mbalmayo Diocese without linking it to his Lordship Bishop Paul Ethoga, who is buried in this Our Lady of Rosary Cathedral of Mbalmayo.
The first African bishop, Paul Ethoga, was appointed as first bishop of Mbalmayo. It was 1961, on the 24th of June. He was tough. He was committed to preach the gospel, to celebrate the holy sacraments of salvation.
Then came the Bishop Emeritus, Aldabeth Nzana, who took over on March 7, 1987. He laid emphasis on evangelization through the foundation of new parishes and new structures, with focus on healthcare services as well. Mbalmayo is made up of 2 divisions, the Nyong and So and Fumo divisions. Both build up the pastoral zones of Mbalmayo and Akonolinga, with a total of 96 parishes. The diocese covers a surface area of about 9,753 square meters with about 500,000 inhabitants. The clergy comprises of 6 deacons, 111 secular and 17 religious clerics. There are also 35 professed religious sisters, 5,904 catechists and 57 major seminarians. The priorities of the Bishop of Mbalmayo, Joseph Marin Diokalia, are on the redynamization of the lay apostolate and restructuring of the different diocesan sectors.
180 junior parliamentarians have made an advocacy for the protection of children against violence, obligatory birth registration, and the responsible use of the social media. This was in the course of the 22nd session of the Children's Parliament, chaired by House Speaker the Right Honourable Kavayege Jibril. They questioned education policies, the provision of social amenities and health coverage programs. Esther Kmer has the details.
Children standing for their rights against violence and denouncing all acts that deter their developments, they are joined by the House Speaker, the Right Honourable Kavayege Jibril, who insists that hearing their voice is an essential requirement. From the 9 regions, they pose their worries virtually to governments, from bilingualism to the rights to education of the internally displaced.
There were more than 36,274 internally displaced students. The first thing that the government did was to open up access to these students. No student was asked to pay certain fees in order to be admitted.
Beyond UNICEF's request for the automatic registration of births, other vices were castigated.
When they see their parents consuming drugs, they will adopt it and bring it to school. Usually in the school milieu are facing problems like bullying. They are sometimes stressed about what the people can do to them.
Getting a world fit for children is a mutual responsibility.
The entire community, the children themselves, should take this problem as their own problem. They should know when they are a sign of violence and denunciate.
They put forward the strengthening of family and institutional mechanisms that cater for childhood, plus the psychosocial support and reinsertion of children engaged in armed conflicts.
Members of the Board of Directors of the Cameroon Radio Television, the Crtv, have evaluated Crtv's coverage of the African Nations Championship CHAN 2020 and preparations for the upcoming African Cup of Nations 2021. The board chair, Minister René Manuel Sadi, congratulated the Crtv and its staff for the excellent coverage of the last competitions. At the close of the board meeting Friday, several other decisions were taken, as we hear in the following report by Cynthia Saptala.
For the media coverage of the African Nations Championship CHAN 2020 by the CRTV, government invested considerably in acquiring and rehabilitating equipment demanded by the Confederation of African Football. With the last international football competition set as trial run in preparation for the AFCON, The 50th extraordinary session of the Board of Directors outlined the equipments available and those to be acquired, notably 2 OB vans in addition to the flight cases and other equipments obtained in the last football competition. The board chair, Minister René Manuel Sadi, congratulated the general manager of the CRTV and his entire team for their work on the coverage and transmission of the Chan football competition and urged for the same commitment and more in the upcoming African Cup of Nations.
CPDM, a leader of the Northwest region, have described the late former Prime Minister and Senator Simon Achidi-Achu as a man who demystified politics and impacted the lives of many through his humility and generosity. The elite converged on Pa Achidi-Achu's lakeside residence today to celebrate his life. Ebenezer Akanga attended the ceremony and brought back this report.
They came from all the divisions of the Northwest region, not to mourn Simon Achidi-Achu, but to celebrate his life. This they did through a display of some of the best traditional dances of the region. In tribute paid to the late Simon Achidi-Achu, Senator Regina Mundi, former Minister Peter Abeti, and Minister Delegate Felix Mbayu described the former Prime Minister as a tireless politician whose objective was to always see the CPDM on top, a peacemaker, a man of the field, and a legend of proximity politics. The keynote tribute was delivered by the head of the permanent regional delegation of the Central Committee of the CPDM for the Northwest.
This is a man who chose to be very pragmatic. He stopped making politics a big issue, but made it very pragmatic, very practical.
On behalf of the family, his son, Jude Tetang Achu, expressed deep appreciation for the support given them in this painful moment. Simon Achidi-Achu died in the United States of America at the age of 87. His remains will be flown into the country on the 28th of June and buried on the 3rd of July 2021 in his native Santa in the Northwest region.
A practical guide for the processing of salaries and pension in Cameroon's public administration has been handed over to personnel working in the service in charge of payroll and pensions. Presenting the document to administrative heads of the central and devolved services of the Director of the Department of Personnel, Expenditure and Pensions, Robert Simokenye, reiterate government's commitments in reinforcing governance in the management of public funds. Ewane Epole reports.
The Handbook of Administrative Procedures for the Processing of Salaries and Pensions is a document that the Ministry of Finance has put at the disposal of users and all the structures in charge of processing salaries and pensions. Presented the document to the public in a ceremony in Yaoundé, the Director of the Department of Personnel, Expenditure and Pensions underlined that the practical guide is intended to support the implementation of government orientations regarding the quality of reception and information in order to ensure transparency and clarity in the processing of files that guarantee a sound and efficient management.
Le taux de rotation du personnel très élevé.
The handbook is to help facilitate the handling of files of the increasing number of civil servants in central and devolved administrative services.
These will eventually help improve the productivity of the service in charge of payroll and pensions to reinforce governance in the management of public funds.
A Bamenda-based expert in conflict management, Dr. Herman Mbamjo, has requested that the stakeholders seeking to provide solutions to the current socio-political unrest in the Northwest and Southwest regions actively collaborate with the local population and civil society actors who have a better mastery of the conflict dynamics. His proposals are included in the defense of his doctorate thesis by, as we hear in this report, by Karin Tosam.
He has spent years analyzing and understanding several stages involved in conflict management, negotiation, mediation, and creation of commissions of inquiry. On a day he's offered PhD credentials in conflict management, he posits that these stages have lacked coherent implementation in the crisis-hit Northwest.
You cannot continue giving assistance to people when you have not put a ceasefire to the crisis. So I think that we need to follow the stages involved in the resolution of conflict.
Another central theme articulated during this defense is the important role of grassroots organizations in achieving peace.
The civil society has a mastery of the territory. Is closer to the people. We must be able to involve the population. The population are the one living in that particular environment.
Dr. Herman Bamjo is the pioneer candidate to defend a PhD thesis from the Faculty of Law and Political Science of the University of Bamenda.
Students of Government Bilingual Technical High School in Colbison have been urged to shun hate speech and be advocates for peace in their communities. The National Awareness Campaign Against Hate Speech and Xenophobia by the Network of Organizations for the Promotion of Peace and Protection of Human Rights has also been programmed in many other schools. Annabella Tabinto reports.
No to hate speech and xenophobia. That is a take-home message for these students of Government Bilingual Technical High School Colbison, who are about to join their families for the third term holiday.
These children are going on holidays, and when they are on holidays, they are being exposed to all these ills that we enumerated, that is hate speech and xenophobia. And we know the consequences of these ills in our society and our environment.
Using platforms like social media, the students are expected to not only promote peace in their communities, but also to sensitize their peers.
They should first of all, if they want to share a message on social media, verify if it is real or not. And the second thing is that they should know that we are all humans, we are all Cameroonians, no matter our differences, ethnicity, religious, and even the language we speak.
The awareness campaign organized by the Network of Organizations for the Promotion of Peace and Protection of Human Rights in Africa will run till December 2021 in different schools across the country.
3 new classrooms have been constructed, equipped and donated to the École Primaire Évangélique de Bamena by elite of the West region. The donation, worth over 30 million CFA francs, was handed over to the school today, as you tell us, Chanceline Nanze.
Participatory development is the watchword here. By constructing and equipping this block, constituting 3 classrooms and an office in École Primaire Évangélique de Bamena, members of the GS30 are acting in accordance to their guiding principle, which is that of promoting sociocultural and economic actions in the West region.
We get more pleasure in giving than receiving. And it's very important for us to give back to the community what God has given to us. We were blessed to be successful, and we think that it's our duty to take care of the other people, the people coming behind us. And for us, we are so proud to sort of give this token to help them grow in life and become successful as well.
The administration of the beneficiary school, with smiles, received the keys of the new building, and to better show their appreciation, offered a goat, which is a very symbolic animal in Bamena, to their benefactors. The GS30, made up of sons and daughters of the West region, promised to carry out more social actions in the future.
And officials of the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education have visited projects run by youths who benefited from the special triennial plan by government in Bengele village near Monateli. The regional delegate of Youth Affairs for the Central region called on the beneficiaries of the plan to double their efforts in a bid to enhance productivity. Guy Roger Nana reports.
15 kilometers from the central town of Monatele, this delegation finally gets to a farm of over 15 acres of maize and 5 acres of okra, a total of about 20 acres of farmland.
We are here following the instruction of the Minister of Youth Affairs and Civic Education to see into it that the beneficiaries from the special youth, 3-year special youth plan is being operational in the Central region. The visit is a satisfactory one.
The challenges of maintaining such an initiative are quite enormous, but the initiators are relentless.
Les difficultés que j'ai pu rencontrer ici, c'est
The major challenges I face here have to do with managing the rain and also choosing the right planting season. So this has greatly affected my productivity. The Special Youth Triennial Plan was announced by the head of state during his traditional speech to the youth on February 10th, 2016. The program was later launched in Cameroon's capital, Yaoundé, in January 2017. Several youths around the national territory have already benefited from the Youth Empowerment Initiative.
The Minister of Public Health, Manauda Malashi, has encouraged all the health personnel of the Mokolo Regional Hospital and Eggs in the Far North region to take their doses of the COVID-19 vaccine so as to better protect themselves and the population they are serving. Dr. Manauda Malashi voiced the encouragement during a visit to the hospital. Difficulties in the domain of infrastructure and human resources were presented to the boss of public health, who promised to look into them. Henry Tatoe can be with details.
About 90% of the staff of the Mokolo Regional Hospital Annex have been vaccinated against COVID-19. Though the Minister of Public Health, during a visit to the hospital, said the number is encouraging, he however expressed the wish to see every staff vaccinated so that these frontliners will better serve the public.
We vaccinate all our health personnel. We vaccinate our compatriots. That's my aim.
After the public health boss listened to the infrastructural and human resources challenges, like the absence of a gynecologist and a pediatrician in a division like the Mayo-Chanaga, where maternal and child mortality are high, he promised the state quick response to some worries.
We have noticed laboratory, human resources, infrastructure, so we are going to address these problems.
The Minister of Public Health, who will also visit some health facilities in the region in the days ahead, encouraged the population to take the vaccine and wave aside social media talk that the vaccine kills.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
Let's cut into the second canto and talk about our fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. The mass vaccination campaign against the coronavirus pandemic, to begin on July 7, 2021, will target people in government, schools, and other public places. Today, the Public Health Emergency Center, Gilbert Ongene, engages his guest, Dr. Andreas Njo, on the criteria laid out for people to receive the vaccine. Hello, Gilbert.
Good evening, Benin Buma, Ghana, televiewers. Welcome to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. Today we are talking about the mass vaccination campaign that begins in Cameroon as from the 7th of July this year. And we are with Dr. Njo Andreas, who is of the National Immunization Program. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Gilbert.
Now, tell us, what is mass vaccination all about and how will it be beneficial to the population?
Thank you so much. I think the first thing to note is that the mass vaccination campaign is one of the moments where we do mass vaccination of the population. And during this period, like you stated, 7th to the 11th of July, vaccination teams will be all over the community, beginning from the health facilities where they have been working. Mobilization will be done within the communities, and door-to-door vaccination, where possible, will also be done. And it's going to be a period where vaccination teams will visit enterprises.
What criteria will be used to choose schools and establishment of public enterprises to be visited for this vaccination campaign?
Yeah, the first thing is that the vaccination is open in Cameroon to persons 18 years and above. So wherever there are persons 18 years and above, is a site for vaccination. So that is the golden choice.
Any health districts targeted?
All health districts of the country are going to be carrying out this activity, and likely every health area will be carrying out the activity in the respective health facilities, in the companies where they are, and door-to-door where applicable.
Well, Benin Buma Ghana, that's how we saw it here. The mass vaccination campaign begins from the 7th of July this year. Cameroonians and other stakeholders are called upon to be part of this exercise, which is important for us to achieve herd immunity in the country. Over to you, studio.
Thank you very much, Gilbert Ongene Anya. The world mourns the loss of Cameroonian legendary artist and Grammy Award winner Wes Madiko, who died Friday, June 25, following an illness. The singer, also referred to as King of World Music, was the lone Cameroonian artist to be distinguished with a title known as Disque de Diamant in Europe. Roselyne Fossa reports.
The year 1997 marked a turning point in the career of world music singer Wes Madiko after he released his first opus titled Welenga. One of the soundtracks, Alane, got him a diamond recognition as he was awarded a Disque de Diamant in France and Germany, making him the second African to receive such recognition. The album also put him on the top of one of the biggest music awards in the world, the Grammy. The hits of the King of World Music were also used in cinema when his title in Upendi was used in the film The Lion King 2 and another song, Awa, used in the movie The White Thornberry. The music legend from Wataba near Douala began his career in 1974 with a quasi group made of youths initiated to culture and African art. 13 years after a concert with the group, he flew to Europe, and in 1992, while on a tour in America for his album Roots, he met with French musician and songwriter Michel Sanchez of Deep Forest, with whom he collaborated for his award-winning album Welenga. In 1998, Wes Madiko was nominated at the Grammy with over 15 million copies of album sales. Today, fans of the world music singer are just left with records of the artist who quit the scene at the age of 57.
And our book of the week is titled Church Girl in Love. The book, authored by Nyantang Asandi, tells the story of a young girl who was raised under strict church doctrine and discipline, but suddenly falls in love with a sly jean and t-shirt boy from the hood who does not even go to church. She gets into conflict with her Christian conservative parents who think she must marry another church boy called Andrew. Emanuela Vernu read through the book and tells us how the story ends.
Lisa, Farida, and Shirley, three best friends, are attending a seminar. Lisa is from a church home. Her disciplinarian dad is a deacon who brought them up in strict religious way. Andrew is Lisa's boyfriend. Everyone thinks he's an assistant pastor and should become a clergy someday. But Andrew prefers to serve God as a laity. During the seminar break, the three girls are approached by well-dressed and handsome young men, amongst whom Tor Sylvester, known by many as Sly. Church Girl in Love is an intriguing African romance written in very simple English language that makes reading appealing and easy for all. Weeks, months, and years after the seminar, Sly and Lisa have grown to becoming good friends. But contrary to Lisa's thought, fate has reserved something else for her love life. Lisa is in church for a Bible class, and Andrew doesn't seem to be anywhere around church. She quickly goes to his house to see what is happening, but Lisa is shocked to meet Andrew in the warm embrace of another lady. She's heartbroken that her boyfriend, loved by even her family, could cheat on her. Months after, on her 25th birthday, Sly proposes marriage to Lisa, who didn't have it easy convincing her parents to accept Sly. Church Girl in Love is authored by Nyanga Sandi, holder of BA in Literatures of English from the University of Boya. The young writer from Com intends to bring romance fiction to the African setting.
And in sport, Coton Sport of Garoua faced GS Kabylie in the return leg semi-final game of the CAF Confederation Cup in Algeria. Coton Sport were beaten 1-2 in the first leg in Garoua and will need to beat GS Kabylie at least 2-0 to qualify on aggregate to the final. Gilbert Ongene asked football analysts how they think Coton Sport can engage the match for a victory. He edits the answers in this report.
Football analysts strongly believe Cotonsport has no choice in Sunday's encounter than hitting the ground running and taking the game to JS Kabylie, given that the odds are in favor of Cotonsport's opponents.
I think Coton has a slim chance if they get to Algeria and play with a lot of resilience.
Cotonsport was defeated in Yaoundé. It will be difficult. I hope head coach Abouakar Suleiman, who has organized his men tactically with mental spirit to go and win.
They opine that the Garoua team must exhibit discipline and composure in all compartments to be able to turn things in their favor at the 5 July Stadium in Algeria.
In terms of the away goals rule, Cotonsport has to draw level, tie level first, and probably add another goal.
However, for this to be possible, some things ought to be put right within the ranks of Cameroon's flag bearer.
If the head coach tries to organize tactically the defense line, all those errors that was done in Yaoundé will be corrected.
Both teams have clashed 7 times in CAF competitions, with 5 wins for JSK and 2 for Coton this far.
The match will be played tomorrow and it will be live on CRTV Sports and Entertainment. Thank you for watching the 7:30 news. Right after now, the 8:30 news will be with Atabadin Omar. Have a wonderful evening. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.